Hey there, welcome to Cosmic Confessions, a podcast by your spiritual besties.
I'm Alex.
I'm Avery.
And I'm Melissa.
Coming at you unhinged,
unfiltered,
and unedited.
Join us on this journey as we explore the profound,
the practical,
and the unlimited potential within us.
Let's awaken our spirits, ignite our passions, and elevate our lives together as the universe speaks and we listen.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cosmic Confessions. We have a very spicy topic today.
Yeah.
And a topic that I feel like a lot of our audience is interested in. Avery, what's our confession?
So our confession today is that we have all experienced twin flame, karmic love, and trauma bond type of relationships. And we are going to touch on all those things.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. Now. Before we unpack this is, first of all, this is a very loaded topic. Don't be surprised if this turns into a part 2 because
we're already anticipating that. Right?
We kind of are energetically already. But before we dive in, I have to give a disclaimer for our audience. The topics that we are going to be talking about, especially today, is just our personal opinion, okay? Whenever the word trauma comes up or therapy, this is just our opinion. Please, if you are experiencing any sort of traumatic symptoms or mental health symptoms, please make sure you seek a medical professional for diagnosis and treatment of such. Okay?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
For putting that in.
Yes, because listen, when it comes to these types of conversations, there's a lot of spiritual bypassing that happens. There's a lot of minimizing and devaluing that happens, especially when it comes to trauma.
Right.
It's a gray area. So please, this is our opinion, but if you are concerned that you are experiencing an unsafe, unhealthy relationship or trauma, please seek out help and a medical professional to do so.
Thank you for that reminder.
Yes.
No problem.
Necessary for sure.
Yes. I'm going to kick us off. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Well, I got ready to go to school today, folks. Okay. What's the difference between a twin flame, karmic love, and a trauma bond? Now, do you ladies want to take this first, or
I can touch on the twin flame aspect, and then if we each want to touch on one.
then you could do karmic love,
Sure.
trauma bond.
All right.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So
How would you describe a twin flame?
So how I would describe a twin flame, something that I've actually experienced in my life, and I've done a tremendous amount of research, tapped into a lot of meditating and just guidance in all aspects. For me, how I see a twin flame is it is one soul that splits into two, and they're basically on two different timelines. So what that means is you can have you in the current timeline now of what you're experiencing, and then the other soul is in a past timeline or present or future timeline, right? Where there is a gap in how you are both perceiving basically the relationship that is unfolding. So, for example, for my experience, right, and I know for a lot of people who have been on a twin flame path, right, for people who haven't, this might sound really out there. So take this with a grain of salt, especially for a lot of people who are not on a twin flame path. This will not necessarily make sense. So just so you're aware of that. But I know for a lot of feminines, like a lot of females are usually the ones who are way more advanced. So their souls are the ones that are already doing some level of healing. They're more emotionally aware, more emotionally in tuned. And usually the masculine is the one that is more disconnected, disassociated, is going to have a lot more pushback and not really understand what's all happening here. And in the beginning, right? So for me, a twin flame, when you meet your twin flame counterpart, it is like electricity. You lock eyes and it is almost like the entire world stops. And in that moment, there is this deep knowing of like, I've known you forever. And yet at the same time, it's like the nervous system is almost so overwhelmed that it's like, I don't know what to do. This feels so good. This feels incredible. And you're almost like riding this high and this beautiful, elevated ecstasy experience until you're not. So what basically happens is your souls connect. It feels so good. And then all of a sudden things start to settle. And both souls start to be like, what the heck is going on here? Usually, right, the feminine will be more in tune with, okay, emotionally and energetically, this feels really good. This feels really great. But I'm starting to be triggered by all of my deepest insecurities that I didn't even know existed. And a lot of times for the masculine, they're like, this feels so good that I almost need to self-sabotage now because none of this makes sense.
Yep.
And what happens is from that beautiful, intensified, incredible connection comes the deepest levels of chaos and pain. And the reason for that is because in this whole chaotic experience, it's meant to force self to come back home, right? So it's no longer about seeking external validation. It's no longer about projecting. It's about really forcing you to look within and heal all of these deep wounds that could be ancestral, could be from past lives, could be from current lives, that are going to force you to become so open and aware that it's going to literally completely tear your life apart in order to rebuild it in the most beautiful and profound ways. So I know for me, when I had this experience and, you know, you have that like unbelievable, like this is the best feeling I've ever experienced to, oh my gosh, I've never been in so much pain and felt
Very up and down.
the roller coaster and like that level of heartbreak. And I think in that space is when you're really starting to like become aware of, oh my gosh, like there's so much pain here, but there's so much beauty because we're actually mirroring each other and mirroring all of our wounds and helping each other heal to the deepest ways in order to transform and create the most beautiful versions of self to come alive.
So the whole purpose of it, at the core of it, is growth and returning back to self and connection. But the mechanism to get there is very hard.
Yeah, really painful. Yep.
So you definitely feel like you've experienced that.
Oh, 1000%. And
Melissa?
it's
Definitely have had a twin flame journey. And what's interesting too is if you dive deep into like twin flame and that whole process, is there certain seasons and they're called like disengagement, then there's a reunion that happens. It's this very cyclical ebb and flow, but at the heart of it, which is really important, is it is meant for your evolution and healing. And again, one other thing before Avery jumps into karmic love is that just remember this, the terms that we're using today is to give language to an energy between two people, right? There's a lot of different words that can be filled in here, but this is a very higher spiritual perspective, including soul ties and your soul, your essence, your, you
like
know.
invisible thread theory.
Correct, right.
Yeah.
So this is a
love
very,
that. I
you're
love
going to have
that.
to meet us higher, for some parts of this episode.
and keep your like soul and mind open
be
because
open
it's
to this.
easy to shut off and be like, this is crazy. But
Yeah.
try to kind of see
interesting
beyond the
perspective.
ego's judgment and really
Yes,
like tune
yes.
in.
But I think people listening, they'll resonate with maybe one of these things or maybe not at all yet, right?
God bless.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. So, but that's interesting because I don't think I've felt that. Which brings us to karmic, karmic love. And I was telling the ladies like in between recordings that like if you have any relationship with an Aquarius or a Capricorn, that's already karmic. So being an Aquarius, like I almost feel like I'm maybe sort of detached from like a twin flame in this lifetime because like I don't think I could get there with someone because like I always feel like I'm just gonna be like a lesson or I'm gonna be learning a lesson in someone's life. Like I don't know if I'm gonna have that, you know, that feeling that you're explaining. So anywho, karmic love. There's I feel like there's drama. There's always a lesson. I feel like it shows up with like cycles and patterns. I feel that like in my experience, like my karmic relationships or like two relationships I've had back to back were very similar but different. And like I think I touched upon this, but like the universe is almost kind of like, hey, we're gonna give you a new avatar. They're going to be like better in some area that was lacking in the relationship before. But underneath it all, like the root, the soul of that person, or like how you interact with this person is still the same. And either you've learned your karmic lesson and you can break that cycle and you say, okay, this person is not for me, or the universe is just going to keep giving it to you, right? And I think it's different for everyone. So the karmic love, maybe for you, what keeps showing up is abandonment. You keep picking these guys that are just like can't show up for you, and like because you have like this abandonment wound or like this shadow that you haven't fully tapped into and healed from. So the universe is like, here's your karmic love. This person is not gonna be consistent. This person's going to only text you Monday through Wednesday, and they got sick Thursday, Friday, Saturday, So it's like it's gonna show the karma, the essence of the karma. I think is gonna show up differently for everyone, but the root of it is that like your soul or these relationships are showing you cycles and patterns and cycles and patterns. But that's explained.
Yeah.
I feel like karmic love is very it's always, what's the lesson that I'm not integrating here? What's the lesson?
Let's repeat it one more time.
Yeah. It's very, very karmic in nature.
Yeah, 100%. And I just totally agree. So
yeah, those are doozies because they never come in like usually once the wrapping paper comes off and the lesson's revealed, it's like, oh, okay.
Right.
Noted. Usually. Okay, and trauma bonds.
Yeah.
Have you ladies experienced trauma bonds before?
Hell yeah. In and out.
Yeah.
Get me out.
So the interesting thing about trauma bonds is that they can be born in a couple of different ways, right? So trauma bonds can happen between, maybe we're all trauma bonded. We've been through so much trauma.
Yeah,
for sure.
But it's also sometimes when you have a shared traumatic experience, there is a bond that happens between both of you from that, right? Another layer is one party has some sort of complex trauma related to the other person, then the other person tries to help fulfill that wound or help soothe that wound. But it's typically a very codependent, toxic dynamic that happens, and both parties are kind of plugging into each other from a traumatic space. I'm out. Not from this fully resourced sense of self. It's I'm plugging into you because you're fulfilling this traumatic wound that I have within me, such as, I don't know, pick the poison, abandonment or low self-worth, rejection. And you're just soothing all of these ills within me, even though this is not a healthy
No, because then it becomes addicting.
Correct. And that's kind of, I think, where people get into, like the whole anxious attachment thing. And oftentimes I really think that people who struggle with anxious attachment, I really think they're more likely to have trauma bonded relationships because there's this natural wiring for anxious attachment, which unfortunately people who can be predatory in nature sniff this out subconsciously very well. And then you're in a trauma bonded relationship before you realize it. So like in essence, a twin flame is very much about growth and connection at the seed of it. Karmic love is about repeating painful lessons until the integration happens. And trauma bonds are having these unhealthy emotional cycles until you are fully resourced and can bond not from a traumatic place of wounding, but
until you heal the wounds.
Yeah. So hopefully those different perspectives are clear.
And make sense
for our audience. But with all that in mind, like as we continue to have this conversation, think of these frameworks and start looking at your relationships like through those lenses too. But it's all of them are doozies, but we all experience them.
Yeah.
And
they're all meant to elevate, right? Like at the end of the day, they are meant to kind of help us be better people within ourselves.
And how you navigate those different relationships are so different.
So completely different.
They call for a completely different recipe as well. So
which we could always get into in another episode.
We could.
Yeah, definitely.
If you guys want that, like
let us know.
Let us know. DMs, comment below, like let us,
Get into
Yeah.
because that could be really juicy.
All right, what's number
But
two?
yeah, let me read number 2.
Yeah.
So, what role does self-love and healing play in attracting a healthy twin flame, soulmate, karmic, all of the above? And how does this change the dynamic of the relationship?
You want me to answer this one first? You got
Sure,
the saves?
go for it. Yeah.
I feel like I know the times. Okay. The times when I didn't connect with, and even though they were good people, like seriously, even though they were good people, if I was not connecting from a place of wholeness,
Right.
being fully resourced, and not from a wounded place, it's a shit show. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but like it's like a shit show, and I know for me, I definitely experienced karmic relationships until like my karmic lesson with relationships, especially with men, is that like Melissa, if you have to connect with a partner from a place of pure empowerment where you don't need them. So whether they come or go, you're good. Like your cup runneth over without somebody else. So
Correct.
not seeking out a partner from a place of, oh, I need the verbal affirmation and I need the compliments. No, I'm going to compliment myself. I'm going to dress myself in a way that makes me feel beautiful and sexy. I don't need a partner to tell me that I'm a good mother or not. You know what I'm saying? It's like I really had to learn how to love on myself and then connecting from a partner from that place. Like that was really, really,
Right.
really helpful for me. Like self-love and healing.
Well, I was going to say like the answers in the question.
Yeah.
What role does self-love and healing
Everything.
play in attracting a healthy soulmate? You need to have the self-love first.
Yep.
You need to have the foundations. You need to sometimes you have to be careful with temptation and everything else, and go back to the self and your self-love. And like with women too, like men and women are so different. Men are going to be able to have those booty calls and call you up and like just think that they can have a relationship based on the sex or just physical touch only. And like with women, we can't do that, and
we're not wired for it.
and maybe there are some, but like I don't know. I feel like there's if you really have self-love, like love on yourself first before like seeking out that male that can't like just provide for you in all aspects of of what it is. Like yeah,
And I think also, and then like the healthy boundaries of obviously like being able to know when you have the time and space to dedicate to your partner versus to yourself, which is all, it goes under self-love. Like really being able to also know your worth. I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
I know for me, a lot of like past relationships were definitely codependent because there is this part of me that loves to be needed and wanted and also loves to be loved.
Yeah. And when you have all that self-love, that's when you attract the right partner. When you're not there yet, someone like a karmic partner is going to show up because the universe is like, wait, we got one more lesson for you, but
you haven't learned yet.
Yeah.
So
it's like,
let's rerun this one more time.
right. And
Like,
then,
no
so for me, it's like you have to be at a place of what Melissa said. Like, I am perfectly fine of you coming and going. I have my job, my hobbies, my friends. I'm full of self-love. Like, thank you for complimenting that. Thank you for being an accent to my life. But, you have to be okay with
and I think
just
it's
self-love.
It's the shifting from a need to a want, right? Like I don't need you to
But
do
I
these
want
things
you.
for me because I'm whole, but I want because it feels good. You're adding value. You're not just the one, you're not giving it all to me. Like it's already there. You're just kind of like my cup's full. You're just like overflowing it.
Yeah. And we want that. We do, as humans, we do really want that connection.
Yes. Because I definitely still want words of affirmation.
Of course.
Physical touch is my number one love language,
Yeah.
as everybody knows.
Yeah.
So like all of those things are non-negotiables for me. But also, again, it's a want, not a need.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's connecting with a partner from that space is so much healthier.
Yeah.
And then you're not riding the highs and lows of the dopamine hits and the, then
Walking
people
on
don't become a
eggshells.
runner and a chaser in a relationship dynamic, because that's like so toxic too. So
Yeah.
You have to
agreed.
be like somewhere in between anxious attachment and hyper independence
Independence.
because both are just not good.
No.
You need the balance. Like that's really what it is, that healthy
Yeah,
balance.
you need the balance.
Yeah.
And I really think like that really helped me, like connecting with my current partner.
Yeah.
Like once I finally integrated like the lessons and
Yeah.
like, now boo, you're good.
Yeah.
And connecting from, no, I want you in my life. I don't need you in my life.
Yes.
Like I want you in my life. You add the value,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know? So heck yeah.
And for me too, it's like the level of communication now is
Oh,
so
yeah,
much deeper
yeah.
for
So
me
much better.
that I could be in a healthy relationship and actually have it be fueling my soul rather than depleting it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
All right. Shall we?
Yeah.
Last question.
Okay, we're doing.
Oh, boy.
We kind of touched upon it, but
Yeah.
let's talk about it. Okay. What boundaries do you need to set when navigating a twin flame or soulmate relationship to prevent it from becoming toxic?
So what's coming up for me is just like the emotional boundaries, right? Of being able to have strength in your no's and also clarity in your yeses, and being able to really understand and decipher what's coming from a place of, again, self-love versus like wanting to just please the partner because there's a fear of losing them. And we're like tapping into the codependency of the need versus the want.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Okay. For me, it's like it starts to become toxic when if you have like columns that you need in your relationship and one is like really, really, really strong and you're only banking on that column. Right. So like if you're and then if you took that column away, that relationship would be shit. So if like if just the sex is really good, right?
Yeah.
If you're just in it for sex, if you took that away, how is that partner?
Yep.
In your other columns, are they consistent? Are they showing up? Like go back to the episode of like non-negotiables for your partner. Like, so for me it becomes toxic, or for me it becomes like a trauma bond if you're like it's only heavy in one area.
Yeah.
Almost to like an unhealthy way. Like I only feel good with you if we're having sex. Or like,
Right.
We're connected.
Right. So that'd be my answer.
So
just
like
that.
doing inventory.
Yeah. That's a perfect way to say it. Sure.
Yeah.
I like
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
Sure, that's it.
And it will be monthly, possibly weekly if you decide to
Get in a relationship with
get in a
Avery.
relationship.
But honestly, yeah. Like, listen, the garbage will accumulate if you don't take it out.
Sure.
Like you gotta go through your inventory. Like what's expiring, what's like too much. Because listen, too much honey ain't good for you either. Too much sugar, that's not good. That's not good either, right? For me, what I guess is like a preventive to something becoming toxic is managing expectations. Like I feel like so much relationship work is just managing expectations appropriately.
We were talking about this last week.
Yeah. I feel like managing expectations really helps, because whenever I have a conversation with somebody, especially like a partner, and I say, okay, like just so we're on the same page going into this next week, what are you expecting of me?
The check-ins.
The check-ins. Yeah. Like I feel like we just assume, I don't know, we have to check in about our relationship intentions with each other when we first start dating. Like, no, you need to be doing that
All the time.
all the freaking time. And I feel like that's really helped me from anything pivoting in the wrong direction is okay. What's your expectations of me this week? These are mine of you. What do we expect to do this week to connect with each other? Wow, it seems like your expectation is way off than what I thought it was. And then it prevents the toxicity and then connecting from, oh my God, then my feelings got hurt and then I'm feeling insecure and blah, blah, blah. Like, no. Having conversation, clear communication, taking the emotions out of it for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Like just speak on it. Like that's been so important to help things not go in the wrong direction, in
Yeah.
like a toxic direction. And also at the end of the day, just respecting myself,
Right.
honoring myself, my gut, my intuition, and respecting myself.
Yeah.
If I could just do those two things, I think I'll be okay.
Yeah. And I would say, just to add on to that, because I
Yeah.
do check-ins too weekly.
Yeah, you
For
have to.
like a big part of that also is like, how can I improve? Like, how can we improve?
Yeah, an
How
action
can I
plan.
improve? How
Yeah,
can you
hell
improve?
yeah. Yes,
What does that look
yes,
like
yes.
moving forward? And then what felt really good, right? When
Mm-hmm.
were we feeling like super connected? What did that look like and feel like?
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
So
It's gonna scare some men away when
For
you start
sure.
check-ins. But you have to say that, like, because I'm thinking of like past people. If I ever asked that question, they'd be like, "What are we doing?" They'd laugh in
Yeah.
my face. So you have to like be again on
about
that
the
conscious level.
Yeah,
the
you got to
same-
package it the right way.
Yeah,
yeah.
and the conscious level
be
too. So.
received.
Yeah. And I think it's important for like, you guys to start asking those questions too, because it's like, yeah, it can be really scary and uncomfortable, but that's how you create a healthy relationship.
Yep.
That's how we break through the karmic love, the, toxic love, and all of these avenues that are so unhealthy.
Yep.
This is how we really start to come back home, because we have to be aware of what we're feeling and what our needs
Yes.
are,
Yes.
and vice versa with our partner. So I think that is really important. But I feel like this needs to be a to be continued.
Sure, we can.
'Cause
we
I-
can talk
there's
about
a
it
lot
more.
more here.
There is,
Yeah.
there is.
So
Part two.
let's pause here.
Sounds good.
Okay.
And then we're going to pick this back up.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, giving us your time, your energy. Comment below. Let us know. Have you been on a twin flame path before? Have you experienced karmic love,
Yep.
toxic love, soulmate love?
All the things.
All the things. We want to hear from you. Engagement is everything.
Yes.
So
Yes.
thank you again, and tune back in. We'll be back for more juiciness.
See you next
Bye.
time.
Bye.
Bye.